when your product is completely brand new and the market's never heard of it, they wait. Doesn't matter what business you're in. Doesn't matter what the hell you're selling. It works. That's the part people are skipping because they want to get to the sales. They want to see the financial benefits immediately. That doesn't always happen. But if you take the time to build a community, I think the rewards are far greater than what you can imagine.
I want to talk about NFTs and Samurai Saga and kind of your really aggressive pursuit into that space. But before we get there, because you had a huge NFT drop that led into this blockchain-based video game company. But before we get to that sort of beginning as it is, can you give me some backdrop on kind of where you started and where you started in business?
Yeah, I mean, I started my business entrepreneurial journey when I was very, very young. Where I was flipping stuff. I think it was 17 or 18. Had to make some money. Getting ready to go to college. Didn't really have a lot of money. Parents didn't really have a lot of money. I grew up with literally no bed. Like I slept in a couch in the living room because my brother had the room, he had the bed, and I was staying with my parents growing up, and we were really poor. So I needed to do something, and I worked like the last couple of years prior to that. I worked at summer youth programs and saved up some money, but I had a joint account with my mom, and desperate times calls for desperate measures, which means like taking your son's money. She didn't want to do that, but she needed to pay some bills. I'm like, this shit is not working out. So, let me figure something else out. And I had a small job as someone who edits pictures because I was really good with programming, computer language, Photoshop at that time, and I was doing all the eBay listings for a camera company, uh, in Long Island at that time, and I learned a lot about sales through that business and how many units they were moving because I was the guy listing it and making sure to take down the listing when everything sold out, yada, yada, all that stuff. So I was like, you know what? They're not paying me enough. I'm fucking broke. I'm a kid. I have no money. These guys are milking me, obviously, for $7.50 an hour, and I'm sitting there bored off my ass. I'm making like after my gas that I put into the car, a used car that my dad got me to drive there. Um, I'm down to like what fucking because it was a gas guzzler. Old cars are shit, and I was down to like 50 something dollars at the end of the day. It was okay money for a kid, right? But I'm looking at the potential student loans that I'm taking out because that's the only way we're gonna fund through college is to take a loan. I'm like, there's no fucking way $50 a day I'm gonna pay for this. This is insane. And then I got to stay in the dorm. I got to find ways to get food, and I'm tired of eating. Because there's this Chinese spot that took care of us, right? My roommate and I at that time, and when I moved into the dorm, we found this Chinese spot, and basically, he was like, "Listen, you guys are poor. I get it. Here's a big drumstick and a bucket of rice. $1.50 is yours. Just come whenever you want."
Damn.
So we would eat that, and we would chop the chicken in half with my roommate, and so that's how we survived for the longest time. But like 6, 7, 8 months into the business, the eBay business with as an employee, I was like, "Fuck this, man! I could do this myself." Right? Let me call the suppliers to see if they even give me a shot. So I called the suppliers. I was like, "Listen, um, I'm a brand new business. I don't know what your criteria is. If you require a storefront, no storefront, but I would like to sell your products. If you can give me a shot." And they were like, "No, you need a storefront. How do I know you have credit? Blah blah." I was like, "Listen, how about I pay you up front?" At that time, I had no money, right? So I took the listings and I listed it under a different eBay account, my own corporate eBay account, right? And then I started selling them, but I put a long delivery time frame. So I put a 2-week delivery time frame, and I started collecting all that money up front. And then I went to the manufacturers. I was like, "Listen, here's a $5,000 payment. Can I get the products?" They're like, sure, why not? You're paying up front. There's no risk to us. I'm like, great. Let's build a relationship and let's start from there. And then I made my first $1 million in sales flipping camera
What?
lenses on eBay. I was actually the pioneer of, when you look at eBay, 0.42 fisheye lens for Canon, Pentax, Nikon, Sony, all different types of cameras. It had a ring, attachment ring. The way that the previous owner wanted to sell it was, hey, listen, let's list this fisheye, but let's list it with the millimeter rings. Anybody who knew anything about DSLRs back in the days knew that the attachment rings on top of the standard lens, whether it's an 18 to 55, I think that's the standard, or a telezoom lens that came with it. It had a certain ring size, and they were listing it as a 49 millimeter, 52, 55, 58, expecting consumers to know what the hell that is. And on the opposite side, I'm like, uh, I'm getting a lot of inquiries whether or not they fit my camera, and I'm looking at these inquiries, and I'm learning a lot about consumerism and how consumers behave. And the truth is, consumers aren't really as smart as you think they are. They need a lot of guidance. They need people to tell them what to buy. I don't know about modern days, but I think for the last decade or so, over a decade of selling stuff on the internet, it's always been the same. You have to tell them exactly why this product is so great and why they should have it. Uh,
Yeah.
so so I started listing all the different model numbers because that's how they were searching. Because if they bought a camera, whether it's a 50D or 60D or a Pentax or the new Pentax or the new Sony's, it came with a standard lens. They all came with a standard lens because that's how the manufacturers produce them. And when they bought that model, they were searching on eBay for attachment pieces or cool camera effects that they could buy for that specific model.
That specific one.
Right. So I listed thousands of models, repeatedly, and I flooded the search on eBay. So I was the only guy that popped up for fisheye lens on eBay, and we were clocking
Crazy.
in like crazy. Myself and my little guy who I hired at that time to work with me to like pump these listings day and night, right? Because as soon
So
as it's
hold
sold,
on. So what era was this? Like what time frame are we talking about?
I was like in the 2000s.
Early
Yeah.
2000s? Yeah, okay. So that, I mean, time frame is super relevant when you when you're talking about specifically trying to figure out how to functionally play the game in search, and whether it's Google search or it's eBay search or today it's Amazon search, whatever it is, the era that you're playing in is radically different, right? So and like you're not literally doing keyword stuffing, but kind of,
That's what it
right?
is.
Like
It's
you're
keyword stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you pop up because search algorithm at that time wasn't really that smart.
Right.
It's whatever the keywords are, and if you flooded your pages with keywords, whether you're on Google or eBay or any other site or Amazon, that's how it worked for any of the guys that were selling anything on the internet. It was all just keyword stuffing and repeatedly posting things that backlink to one another, and that was the strategy. So the more you have, the higher you rank, and then obviously the more sales you get, right? So that worked. Obviously, that worked for a very very long time. That worked all the way till the first era of Facebook ads, when they little ads pop up on the mobile, on the browser, on like before Facebook even had an app. That's how people search for
Hmm.
stuff, and it popped up. And the more keywords you have, the more you're found, and the more sales you got. You know, so I went from the eBay guy, did really well. I tested a little Amazon, got out of Amazon, didn't really like the fees, and then went direct to consumer. Decided to create my own website.
Hold on. What was the transition with Amazon? And also, you just said, so first, what period was that? eBay to Amazon?
I was like all the way through the 2000s, all the way till I graduated college in 2008, and then it's funny because that'll lead to the talk about crypto, how I got into crypto too.
Well, I want to hit on Amazon because you said the fees were too much. And like it wasn't until probably 2013, 14 that I saw the first, hey, this is how you do fulfilled by Amazon, the
Right,
FBA
right,
programs. And actually it was um, uh, a friend, Matt, that launched amazing.com. And he was one of the very early programs on how to sell on Amazon. But that was like, to me in my head, that was the era where Amazon Amazon's FBA program really spiked.
Hmm.
But before that, what was the difference in fees? Because my association with eBay is that they just rake you over the coals for fees, and maybe they didn't at the
eBay
time, and maybe
wasn't
they do.
actually that
I don't
bad
know.
back in the days. eBay took a very, very small percentage. I don't recall what the percentage was. I was selling the lenses for 34, anywhere between 35 to 42, right? So the way I was selling the lenses is I put them on a bidding model on eBay. I never put them as a buy it now. I never put a fixed price. I started at a certain price so people thought they were getting a deal. And then I let them
Mm,
bid. And then, the bids would range anywhere between it starts at 20 something dollars. It would always average out to like 35 bucks. It range anywhere between 20 something dollars to like the highest I've seen a lens bid for was like 55. And then eBay took probably a couple bucks. Like it wasn't extravagant. I didn't give a shit because I bought the lenses for like $9 and was flipping them for 50. And I paid
right.
a 13-cent listing fee, if I'm not mistaken, at that time per listing.
Damn. Why did you do an auction model versus a buy it now model?
I saw the hype on auction. I saw like, eBay is known for playing cards and collectibles, and then you see the crowd going ape shit on uh bidding for items. And that was like I think eBay was the pinnacle of bidding for stuff back in the days because there was no other website to bid for any type of product, right? So if you have a special jersey, you put it on eBay and allow like thousands of people to bid on it and you see the price go up. So I just simply copy what works. If you look at eBay, you look at all the stuff that's sold, and you look at the data according to it. You could see what's really working on that platform. I just
Hmm.
there was no strategy. I just looked at the stuff that's working, and I'm like, I could do this. It's kind of like I
Yeah.
went to work for somebody, did all their listings, and I looked at them like, you guys are nuts.
Well, look, I think that is the strategy, though. The strategy is look at what seems to be working and follow it. And there are a lot of entrepreneurs that get into the game, whatever they're doing, and they think that they need to reinvent the wheel, or they want to reinvent the wheel and do something unique. And they want this grand plan and this master strategy that's going to be unique. And a lot of the time that gets in the way of them just fucking executing.
I think timing matters too. There's a lot of people miss the mark on timing. Like they would have a product too early or too late. If you always time it properly, and if something is new enough and there's enough attention towards it, you're gonna make money, right? Just jump into it. Don't give a shit about the strategy. Who cares about whether you're doing it right or wrong? Just do it.
Yeah, I love that. So, last thing on the eBay tip, did you have a floor on the auctions? Did you say, "Hey, it's not going to sell unless we reach this number," or did you have it full open auction?
24.95 was my floor. Because I was like, I'm unwilling to sell. I'm unwilling to buy a product for $9 and then pay eBay a couple bucks and only make $5 because it's a lot of work. Like I was boxing them myself. I was listing them myself. I was putting it in
Damn.
in fucking laundry bags and bringing them to the post office 5 blocks away. That's a lot of work. I mean, I was like, I'm not breaking my back
Yep.
for a couple bucks.
Okay, so you went from that, you played with Amazon for a little bit, and then you decided to go direct to consumer or create your own website to do it.
Yeah, because I could skip, and then at that time I was playing around. I believe Stripe existed, and there's so was other payment gateways, right? I used BigCommerce at that time too, and there's many different options. Magento was a really good use case. I was building my own websites using Magento at that time, and I was like, if why don't all these people contacting me directly? They have my information through eBay and they're texting me and emailing me for advice on other options that they could buy for their cameras because they really like the results of the product they bought. So I'm like, if I'm communicating with them direct, why do I need to put them on a platform and then keep paying these fees? Right? Why don't I just put them on my own website? And that's what I built. Like it was pretty cool at that time. It was Magento. I don't know if people still use them, but like they are very advanced. Like this is the first time you've seen a self-hosted tool that you can put all your customers in. You can communicate with them through the platform on the back end. You can customize the site where you can have upsells, downsells, cross sells. It was very, very cool. And they made it extremely easy for you to build a website if you know a little bit about code. Um, Maximizing, that was the pitch at that time too. They were like, you can maximize your sales, and it worked, right? So I put in I decided to put extra products, and I put like the telephoto lenses, I put wide angle lenses, I put camera bags, I put, tripods, anything that I could upsell people into one lump sum of a payment, like, and you connect PayPal to it, and it accepts all the payments, right? Um, and that was like the best thing that I've experienced, is that level of touch with consumers. It's unbeatable. I can't ever do that. Like in eBay, I have to go through their own messaging board, which they haven't innovated in like 20 years. Fucking still sucks, right?
Right.
Amazon, obviously, I can't for the life of me even find, even today, I can't find how to really contact the seller. I have to go through Amazon to
Right.
contact the seller. How ridiculous is that, right? So I'm like, this tool makes it easy, and I like easy.
And this is 2008, 9, 10, or is it later than that?
It's around that time frame. It's been so long, man. I don't really remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, so you're doing now direct to consumer, still all camera stuff. Um, what was the next 10 years like? Because I know the last few has been this huge pivot, huge adjustment, diving into NFT, crypto, et cetera. But did you stay the course with that?
So I actually lost my camera business because as soon as I graduated college, I tried to run the camera business with my dad. And my dad was kind of struggling with his restaurants. He was the guy that made sauces for Master Group Inc. Master Group owned Master Walk and Bourbon Street, which they had like over 300 locations in malls across America at that time.
Damn.
My dad was the person that innovated the sauces for them, and I guess like on goodwill, the owner gave him options for franchises, so he owns. And at that time, he called me after I graduated. He was like, "Listen, I need help. You're gonna work for me now." I was like, "But I'm already doing something for myself, and I'm doing pretty well." He's like, "I don't know what." He was like, "I don't know what to do. I need someone that can help me manage and just help me out for a little bit." So I went to work with him in the kitchen for the next 3 years, and then I lost the eBay business because I couldn't focus on customers. Obviously, the only time I had was I rented a little office, which I taped up all the glass and no, so nobody could see all my inventory. It was in Nashua, New Hampshire. It was cheap. It was like $500, and I had all my shit in there. And I was packaging and then putting it in my car and driving it to the post office like in the mornings before I go to work at the restaurant. And I ended up people pissed. They got the wrong products. I was tired, and when you don't focus in your business, you end up going downwards. So that business bombed out, and times changed, and there's a lot more competition, obviously, in the camera space. So I gave up on it. I gave up on it, but I went full on 3 years, helped my dad do a little marketing for the restaurant. We turned the business around. We sold it to somebody else, and then he suffered a heart attack, right? And he had an open heart surgery at that time, and we ended up moving from New England back to New York City. And from there, I'm just figuring out my next steps, and that's how I got into uh, t-shirts, because I Shopify, at that time was also booming, and it was new, and it was kind of cool. Like 2 clicks, you could set up a store. You put a couple of t-shirts. There's a couple of drop ship producer providers. I believe Printful at that time was around because they were early, and they had a lot of customers because they were early, right? And then so my other guy, who's also like my good friend, that I started a project in India with, right? He ran all the ad campaigns, and I ran all the like miscellaneous stuff, like the product pictures, because I'm very good at the computers, putting up the listing, setting up the website. And we combined, so like the two of us decided to run some campaigns, and then it sold like that instantly. Converted each customer for like a dollar to $5, a conversion. And we're like, whoa, this thing is like fucking camera lenses but direct, right? It was like Facebook ads, and we
Mm,
were just running bullshit Facebook little boxes in the middle of a page that people looked at, and they clicked on it, and they loved it because it was new. So that I
yeah.
did that for quite a bit of time, for many years, and then it blew it up. That's how I joined War Room, and people knew me as like the T-shirt guy, the T-shirt king, because they're shipping a lot of T-shirts, like millions of T-shirts a year. but the margins were relatively small because I think they were charging insane. They were charging up the ass in terms of like margin. Um,
Who
yeah, it
was?
was. I don't know if they're still charging. I got out of the business.
Who, the
The
manufacturer
middleman, the
or
suppliers. I don't think they're manufacturers. They might be now. I think at that time they were using third party suppliers. They had a network of
Mm,
manufacturers, which is actually pretty smart for a business model, right? For Printful and all those guys, Custom Cat, those dudes that are having apps on Shopify, really like what they're doing and really like the fact that they've accumulated lots of users. So I'm looking at it like it's just easy. More and more people coming on. They're selling more. They're selling more T-shirts because I'm seeing a lot of other T-shirt ads pop up. Because once you have someone or you have a couple of leaders that are doing the same thing, because obviously you do the same thing because there's profit. Then I was like, listen, people love customization, right? People love customization. I think between 2011 to 2019, maybe even till today. Today is a little bit less. People love less customization, but during that span of 8 9 years, customization was very hot. It was the talk of the town. Everyone was like, I want to be a Doberman mom. I want to be a German Shepherd mom. I want to be a fucking war Navy veteran. I want to be a sniper. I want to be whatever words they say, Irish American, German American. You have the tree with the two different things in there. So so I'm looking at it like they'll buy anything that's customized. And
mhm.
and I'm like, what if we create something that is not offered on these platforms and we try to sell it and see what happens? Uh, so I went on Photoshop. I Googled around. I was like, what's a big community that's very passionate about their community, that love, absolutely adore, but don't have a product that represents them? And then I was scrolling on Facebook and I came across Native Americans. So I created a page, Native American. I think it still exists, Native American clothing, right? And then we ran some ads for page likes. We didn't run ads direct to product. I ran ads to page likes. I was like, if people, based on like my experience, backtrack on eBay all the way to Amazon, all the way to other platforms like Etsy and whatnot, right? Dabbled in Etsy for a little bit. The way you find something that works is you see how the engagement is. You see how people are talking about it. Well, if you're running minimal budget, right? So if you have to spend a lot of money to get that engagement, it's probably not a scalable business or product. So we ran like $100. Got 50,000 likes in the page. Started posting all Native American shit, and they were going crazy and sharing it, hundreds of shares per post. And then I
Mm,
went on Photoshop. I mocked up a pair of sweatpants. It says Native on one side, American on the other side, with the, what do you call those feathers with the Native, the symbol, right? So I put that on the American with the feathers, right? Native American. I put that online. I believe you could still see the post on that page, and I think it got 80,000 likes or something of that nature. It was
wow.
crazy. People were commenting, "Where do I buy? Where do I buy? Where do I buy?" And I called Rev and I was like, "Listen, I don't know how we're gonna fucking make this, but I think we should sell it." so
That's
so we
great.
put the product on Shopify. Um, Ended up I think the first day we did like $50,000 in sales. Right.
Wow.
And I went to a local screen printer. I was like, "Can you print that?" He was like, never done sweatpants before. I don't even know how to print on sweatpants." I'm like, okay. Could we figure out how to print on sweatpants? So the next week we were engineering a palette, like a platen that goes into the screen printing machine. It was custom cut. It was a square. It was a hole in the middle. You could slip the legs on there and then lay it flat, and he could drop the screen, and then just one swipe, he can print both sides. So it created that from
Crazy.
scratch, and then I was like, oh, thank God, that's a miracle, right? But um 2 weeks in, he was like, "Bro, we're overwhelmed. I don't know how we can print this stuff. We're gonna need a machine." It was a dude in Chicago, and I was like, "Oh fuck, okay. So how quickly can you get the machine?" He was like, "I don't know. I can get a used one down the block. They have it, but I can't pay for it. I can't afford it. You know, you're only paying me. I think it was like $5 a print, and you're supplying. I was supplying him the pants because I found pants from SS Activewear. It was like a wholesaler that had these Gildan sweatpants. It was like $7 a pants. Five, we sold it for 40. And
Did you have to buy all those ahead of time in bulk to get that price,
uh,
or did you
yeah, I mean,
produce?
yeah, but we also had all the cash, from the consumers.
Right, because
Yeah,
you right,
yeah.
right.
I
What was
mastered
the turn time
I
on this?
mastered the art of.
What was the
It
turn
was
time?
great times. So I mastered the art of reselling shit from eBay days.
So what was the turn time on that though? Because today there's this expectation of in the world of Amazon, 2, 3, 4 days is like the delivery time. And not with everybody, but it's certainly my expectation now. And it sounds like you had, 2, 3 weeks of lead time where that was
When
okay
your
or
product
longer.
is completely brand new and the market's never heard of it, they wait. They'll wait.
That's fair.
If you're competing like toilet paper, fuck you, man. Like, give me the toilet paper right now. I want my toilet paper. I gotta wipe my ass tomorrow. Right? But the product was completely new. So they were like, "Oh my god, we gotta have it." So I put on the website saying that due to high demand, there might be a little delay. If you want to cancel your order and lose your spot, go ahead. You can have your money. Nobody canceled. Everybody waited. Right. So I ended up buying this
Amazing.
heavy machinery, which is like $28,000 that allows them to print faster. And then the guy, I don't know what happened. I gave the guy money. He ended up buying the machine, and he ended up not being able to perform. And then I had to open up my own factory in New Jersey, and I found somebody who's supposedly a screen printer. Because I was in a rush, so I ended up like partnering up with somebody, and then opening up my own factory in Palisades Avenue, 600 Palisades in Union City, New Jersey, renting the entire first floor because we had so many orders. And I knew the exact model of that machine. I knew how to get the custom patents on, and I found a steel guy, to cut all these things for the machine, and then within 2 weeks we were like loaded up, locked and loaded, electrician, everything hooked up. And I was like, we got to get these fucking things out the door, man. There's too much money on the table, right? That one product we did like almost $1 million in sales, and then from there we just started expanding. Like we, as in my, I started expanding as in my team, adding on people to work as a company. So the one thing about me is like I don't like to say I a lot because you know I think I like to win with other people around me, and that's what happens. And then like we basically as a company started selling other products like from hoodies to t-shirts and yada everything under the sun, right? So it starts with one unique product, and then you can upsell them everything else under the sun. Doesn't matter if someone's competing with us on t-shirts. Hey man, I can add this t-shirt to your order for less than what you're paying in the current market. Would you like it? They'll always say yes 90% of the time, right? So it ended up
And are you so for clarity here, it sounds like you had kind of a broad t-shirt business where you're pumping out, you said millions of t-shirts a year. You moved to this, but this started just driving original Facebook ads to get likes to a Native American Facebook
yep,
page. Was everything driven from ads to get likes and then post like quote unquote organically
yeah,
on the Facebook
yeah,
page to
yep,
sell
that's
product?
it, that's it. We ended up having like 380 Facebook pages with different categories: Doberman, German Shepherd, anything that you can, Navy, Army, Air Force. Air Force was a huge one for us, right? Um, it was about taking similar products, and we found the winner. We found the winner, which is sweatpants. Like we were the kings of sweatpants, right? Everybody, you can get T-shirts anywhere. You can get custom T-shirts named from custom. Anybody, any company has it. Nobody had sweatpants, so we made categories, different pages with one product, and then expanded
And
from
so
there.
you mentioned this before, you mentioned this earlier, but I want to highlight it because the formula basically was um, find cheap traffic And you did that by finding something that people were interested in. And if you could spend a little amount of money on ads and get a lot of interest, and that was you were looking for kind of specific verticals or groups of people, then run the ads and build that audience and then
That's
show
it.
them a product that was of
That's it.
interest. Yeah. And I think that formula still works today.
It
It's
works
just
in
figuring
all
out.
industries. Doesn't matter what business you're in. Doesn't matter what the hell you're selling. It works. And that's the part people are skipping because they want to get to the sales. They want to see the financial benefits immediately. That doesn't always happen. But if you take the time to build a community, I think the rewards are far greater than what you can imagine. Right. So we've done uh 9 figures in sales. Margins was shit, obviously, with staff, overhead, whatever, right? I had a 3% net, which is like, come on, bro, over $100 million. This is all we got. And then you take the hits
Yep.
when the return starts coming back to your factory. You take those hits. I'm like, bro, this business just sucks. I don't want to do this clothing business anymore. I had 2 locations. I had one Union City, and then I moved to Brooklyn, Red Hook, Brooklyn. I had a second location, and then ended up getting out of the business completely. I fucking hate that business. It was driving me crazy. You know, it was great. It was fun for
I
the
understand.
moment where it's like, oh man, we're fucking killing it. We're like kings. No one in this industry does $100 million. We've done it, and you look at the bank account, like, damn, dude, did I just work for free?
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, man. And you feel like a baller until you're not. Um,
Well, yeah, but this is where things flip, right? Because so talk about the transition into NFTs in the crypto space, because that's the polar opposite. Instead of having a 3% margin, I don't know what your margin is, but it's certainly well north of three.
oh yeah. So I could talk about the transition from the factory to the food business to NFTs and cycle back to the
Sure.
food. Right.
Yes. Yes.
Um, yeah, I was looking for something else to do, and then I was walking down New York City, and I turned to one shop. It was called Viking Waffles at that time. Um,
I actually just in prep for this saw you post something in the War Room group from like, I don't know, 18, 19, 20 about Viking
Yeah, I
waffles.
was I was a big believer of Viking waffles. I believe a couple of war room members tried to come and make Sharky investment offers to the business because I was leading the charge in that shop. Um, I walked into the shop. It was like, these waffles are fucking good. What is it? She was like, the founder was like, oh, they're healthiest waffles on the planet. I was like, why don't you say it on your website? She was like, I don't know. There's protein waffles. I thought everybody knew. She's not a marketing person. We are marketing people. And I was like, can you ship these? He's automatically in my head. I'm thinking e-commerce, baby, because if
Yeah.
it's that good, other people deserve it. Um, she was like, yeah, I ship them, but we don't have too many customers. I was like, okay, listen. So I was like, I'll help you out. I'll put some money in this business. I found out she was going bankrupt because then she was like, a month from closing doors. She hasn't made rent. There's no internet because she hasn't paid the internet. And
Damn.
I ended up falling in love with the brand. I was like, listen, let's try to make something happen with this. I'll put some money in. I'll spend money on marketing. Let's change this business around. So we closed the retail, we pushed all the cabinets, everything like further up, and it blocked away anybody from walking in. And I was like, I want to ship these. And then within a week, we're running Facebook ads and Instagram ads. And then people were clicking in it and they were like, what the fuck is this? 21 grams of protein, less than 3 grams of net carbs. Holy shit. And then I found out that, fortunate enough, there was an existing list of consumers. So you can do a lookalike at Facebook, right? So we ended up doing a lookalike and found out that all the bodybuilders were paying an insane amount of money on subscription for these products because they want to be healthy and they're training for something. Whether you're a bodybuilder, someone in fitness, a sports, someone an athlete in sports, these are our perfect consumers. Scaled to the moon on that, did millions of dollars, did tons of money in subscription, saved the business. Basically, within month 3, the business had enough cash to sustain itself. So it was like self-liquidating in a sense. And I was like, this is the best thing on the planet. And the margins were much better than t-shirts, right? Margins were, I think after everything, it was like 17% net, which is great. At that time, going from 3 to 17 is a big jump, huge jump.
Yeah.
And then I got into 2 years later. I saved the business, but 2 years later, I got into an argument with her because I wanted to franchises. I'm like, bro, this is a nationwide franchise. Because now that we have the consumers, we can just plug this into different hot cities, and then have it serve the fitness industry, because our production facility are shorten the shipping window, because shipping from New York to California is 2 days. Sometimes the food gets molded and we have to reship, and dry ice is also a pain in the ass. Never use dry ice.
Yeah.
But we got a disagreement, and that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I get to tell you that. So I'm always on the hunt for margin and greater businesses. I left and I was trying to look for something else to do. And then at the end of 2020, Elon Musk was like tweeting about Doge all the time. Doge this, Doge that. And I remember at 2009, I bought Bitcoin and I sold it at 600 something dollars. I put like, I think 400 something or 800. I forgot how much, but a lot back then in college, right? 2009, a couple $100 meant the world to me. But I threw in Bitcoin because we were chatting in
Yeah.
IRC chats, internet relay chats back then. It was like WhatsApp but more secure, and you could only text. It was nothing but text. It looks like lines of codes. And then I ended up trading some Bitcoin through the IRC chats. Sold it at 600 something. Obviously, a couple $100,000 up. A couple years later, it's meant a lot. It's a lot. And I'm looking at it like, fuck, man, I sold Bitcoin too early, because 2020 Bitcoin was like on the rise, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I'm not missing this chance ever again. So I threw 20 grand into
Mm.
Doge. Doge was like a fraction of a fraction. It was nothing. You can get a lot of Doge. And then 4 months later, I was doing my own thing. I was just dabbling in the market, trying to play with the NFT crypto space, figure out like what my path is, what my avenue is. Then in April 2021, Doge was 74 cents. I'm like, fuck. 20K to 2 million? Bro, what the fuck?
Wow.
This stuff is real. It's like, let me go full on in this, right? And I cashed out of Doge, obviously, and then ended up, meeting the founder, Billy, great friends, and we just started shooting the shit. I actually sold them the big three basketball, because that was us to handle their whole NFT drop. I sold them a team. But on in May of 2021, I was like, damn, these tokens are fucking brilliant. Let me try to launch my own token. But and I realized that it was all memes, and the market was just doing this for fun. They're not doing this for financial gains. No one's looking at it from a financial perspective. People are looking at it from an innovative perspective, that you could make something as cute as Doge, like a dog, and have people behind it, and it could potentially become a currency. And I think that's what Elon Musk was joking about. He was like, I think Elon Musk knows that, the whole Wall Street era, the whole seriousness and finances, that world is shifting to a new space, to like all these young kids wanting to create their own little insulated bubble, in sense that they would feel good about, right? And that's what Doge is. So I created something that's fun and out of my head, and I was like, I was talking to my friend Sammy. I think you met Sammy during a war room, dating coach. I was like, listen, why don't we create something for men and make it funny? And we started shooting the shit and coming up with names, and then we came up with the name Balls. I was like, just launch Balls, man. Fuck, let's fucking donate money to Men's Health and see what happens, see where it goes. If they want to get rich, or they want to do something useful in their life, buy some balls. And that was the whole marketing. And so I presented it to a couple people in the crypto space, through Telegram and Discord, and then they were like, balls, this is cool. They posted it to all their followings, and we ended up having tons of money in liquidity. I forgot how much. It was like either millions or at least close to a million in liquidity. and the market cap, the valuation for balls within 6 days was $57 million.
It's
I
fucking
was like,
ridiculous.
the fuck is this, man? To get to $57 million in the traditional business in 6 days, it's impossible. It's almost like it doesn't exist, right? And then, I made a lot of people rich, and that's how I blew up and became a name. Right? People started following me. It was like, Jian, he's the ball father. He's gonna lead us to glory days. And I'm like, holy crap, man! I'm like memed everywhere, and still have these old memes that people memed me. Put two nut sacks and my face on it. It was like a little weird, right? Um, so ended up seeing, and then I saw like the progress and transition, and I remember like, hey, listen, there's crypto kitties in 2017, and I think I was seeing the rise of the punks, and then there was a second project that dropped, the apes, and then I saw that the price of them was steadily going up, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm a marketer. That's all we do is sell stuff for a living. Right? Why can't I do that? Like, why are we buying other people's shit and waiting for it to grow? Why don't we create a project and sell? So I ended up creating my first NFT project. It was called Skulls at that time. I think it's a dead project because a lot of drama happened between the founders. Um, Launched the project in the community, and the strategy was the same strategy: spend the least amount of money, get tons of engagement, and see what happens, right? If you drop the first piece of artwork saying that this is the greatest thing on the planet, and you spend $100 and you get a massive amounts of engagement, it's a winner. So that's what I did. I hired somebody because at that there was no ads for crypto space. You can't run ads. It's banned everywhere, right? You can't run ads for it. So the strategy back then was to spam people. And Discord had no filters at that time, so I hired a couple of spammers and Fiverr and Upwork. You could find them everywhere. And I was like, spam these groups, the ape groups, the punk groups, spam them all with this potential drop and see what happens, right? And then lots of interest. Lots of people were clicking on it. Oh man, this is cool. This is Rick and Morty. This is like, because the thing is, like, if you do 25% similarity, you're not violating any IP rights. So we did skull heads of all popular characters. I think so. I don't know. I mean, that's according to what I read. But the artist had this collection of skull heads, and I was like, let's put one out, see what happens. So for that $100, we got thousands of engagement in this crypto community, and then we went forward with the
Wow.
project, and then did a bunch of stuff, got some influencers involved, legitimized the project, so that they feel more comfortable buying it. Um, 3.9 million dollars in like 8 minutes. As soon as we dropped,
Damn.
boom, sold. I was like, fuck, this space is real. And then from there, I was behind the scenes with other NFT projects all the way up to November. We did, including Samurai Sagas. Samurai Saga is the seventh project to drop. So there was six other collections that just sold out instantly. So we're like murdering the space drop after drop because it was so fucking easy to market. It was just
That's
spamming
crazy.
people.
So so a couple things. One, that's hilarious that that your approach was just spam people, and I didn't realize that Discord just had no filters and you could go in and do that. I think that and I think that the takeaway is that the those these platforms rotate, but the principles are the same,
Yes,
right? And so it's how do you find and you mentioned it before, but it's how do you find an engaged audience for a low dollar amount and then hit it as hard as you
that's
can.
it.
Um, the other thing you mentioned though that I want to dig into is you said then I found influencers to legitimize it. Who I think that there's um, a very valuable lesson in that in general, but specifically with this group, who are the influencers or like what type of influencers were relevant to legitimize NFT? Was it an NFT drop? Was it specifically people in the NFT space that already had some credibility, or
No,
others?
like anything else, when there's a perception, people tend to value it higher. So the influencers that relate to the NFT space, which the NFT space is predominantly anywhere between 15-year-olds to 28-year-olds, and sometimes even people in the 30s, right, 30s and 40s. Now there's more older people that are coming on. So it would be rappers, folks like Kim Kardashian, Justin Bieber, singers, and folks that are similar in that space. And also, there's a lot of YouTubers that have been talking about crypto for the longest time. Those are like the ideal folks to bring onto your projects because they bring a sense of safety and credibility, even though they know nothing about the space, right? When we worked with people all the way from Ice Cube to Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg blew up because of that space. To I believe we paid Trippy Red. We paid almost like all the influencers that you named. I probably had a hand in giving them a couple of dollars so that they could post. But people believed that, right? People looked at it and said, "Look, if he or she is posting it, this project must be good. It's going somewhere." And the fact that the most money to be made in any market, honestly, is something that's like relatively new and folks are excited about it. They're excited about the change and they don't know what it is, but they just want a piece of it, right? That's in any industry, whether it's like back then it's camera lenses, right? And it went from t-shirts to everybody selling t-shirts under the sun to sweatpants, which is a relatively new product, to crypto coins, meme coins, new product. NFTs was a new product in 2021, summer 2021. Um, I'm sure you know of like thousands of you know, based on your interviews of other people, like anything that's relatively new, right? That's where you make an ungodly amount of money. And if you recognize that, and you recognize that the next wave is coming, which is the next wave is AI, jump on it, get onto it, and make it happen. Right? Doesn't matter if you know it or not. You don't need a master plan. You just need enough skills to be able to convince someone else on the other side to buy what you have.
I love that. So Samurai Saga was the seventh project, and this is all 2001, right? It sounds like to that point, you went hard and fast with NFTs because the Skulls project was the second, and you did 3.9 million in a matter of minutes on that project. But that was all still mid 2021, right?
It's summer 2021, all the way till the end of 2021, and maybe even a little bit of the beginning of 2022 was the pinnacle of NFT projects. It doesn't matter what project you made during that phase, it would have sold and you would have made money. If you had some marketing abilities during that year, you would have made a lot of money. I'm not going to tell you how much I made. I mean, I'm doing pretty well, I guess. um, but yeah, during that phase was like the golden era of NFTs, and then there's obviously shifts that's happening. But I think there's going to be another wave of potentially good NFT projects coming back, but more legitimized and more utility oriented. So whoever's listening to this, do lots of research on utility NFTs and prepare yourself because once that wave hits, that wave is going to come and go before you know it. It's like surfing. You surf and you crash, right? Before you crash, you caught a good run and you pocket the experience, aka dollars in crypto.
So, utility NFTs for clarity. So when we talk about kind of that initial NFT wave, the way that I heard that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of those really had no utility. It was art, right? It was an NFT that was an image, and people were caught in the trend. And when you talk about utility NFTs, are you just talking about a blockchain based um, non fungible token that has some other utility that actually can be used for something?
Yeah, whether it's like a token or NFT, doesn't matter what it is. It has to be some use case, right? So I think the next wave is a couple of projects that I'm advising behind the scenes is like fractionalized ownership of cars, right? You could have 1,000 people put in a small amount of money, and all of a sudden everybody has a part ownership in terms of an NFT certificate on a Batmobile, right? Or
Mm.
you can have a house in Tulum and 500 folks come together and buy a piece of that NFT, which represents part ownership of that house in Tulum. As it gets rented out, the income comes back in form of crypto and gets dispersed to everybody's wallets automatically in terms of a smart contract. So it's automating payments and automating returns for investors per se. Or someone could figure out, the other day we were talking with John about, someone could figure out how to automate using blockchain technology and AI combined. How do you automate the mortgage industry, which is ripe for change because the mortgage industry hasn't changed in eons. All right. So that's what I
Mhm.
was talking about in terms of utility based. And Samurai Saga is actually utility based. So it's the last project that I've done. I was part of the marketing team to Samurai Saga. I didn't like create Samurai Saga. I was part of the founding team and I did all the marketing on the back end, right? And then it sold, the project sold out, and then people got rich. They decide they want to do other shit like buy villas and whatnot, and then they abandoned the project. And I was like, "Fuck, man, this project is amazing." Did you not realize we sold 33,000 NFTs at a very high price to people? That means the community is there. If I know anything about communities, I know how to keep them. So I
Mm.
decided that I wanted to make that like my one project that I could say to the public, look, I'm proud to build this project, and we're expand this as a brand, build it out as a brand, and then show the space how to properly do projects, because a lot of projects come and go in the space because, to be honest, it's not their fault. It's not the fault of the people launching it. It's not a scam. It's just an experience, right? A lot of people, a lot of kids, I know 17-year-old kids that have $10 million in crypto in their wallet because they launched two projects, right? I know a lot of these kids that are extremely rich. They're not going to run these projects. They don't know how to run these projects, right? They don't have the intent, or they don't have the experience on building businesses like you and I do. So what they're going to do when times get tough, they quit. Why wouldn't you? You have millions of dollars in your wallet where you had zero back, a year ago. So you're going to live life, and that's what they're doing. They're living life. And I feel like I want to lead the space as an example with one of the projects that are going to, stay around and thrive and show people, look, we we can start by kickstarting your project, because this is a path for capital. And unlike going to traditional means and going to a VC or a hedge fund or going to an angel and asking for half a million to $1 million for your business, make something that's useful, which is a utility based NFT, which is gray zoned right now. So it's not, you're not selling a securities, you're selling a piece of something that he buys. It's no different from buying a skin in a game. And if you can get enough people to believe that your project idea is good, they'll pay you. So this is like a new vehicle for people to raise capital in their organizations. I think we were talking to what's his name, Scott Baxter, the other day, and to raise more money, you don't necessarily need to bring on new investors and then dilute yourself and go down in equity. Create a new offering to the public, whether it's like a NFT pass to play in your own incubated tennis tournaments. I think people will buy that, right? So if you sell 1,000 passes at $1,000, boom, you have your money there, and then you have your growth capital without sacrificing your ownership. Like, I own a majority of Samurai Saga, obviously. So the better Samurai does, the so there's only two owners of Samurai Saga. It's the artist and myself at the moment, right? And people could do that. You can keep your company and raise an ungodly amount of capital right now if you're doing the right thing and you have no intention of scamming folks. And
So tell me about the economics of that and like how that worked for you with Samurai Saga, because I think that we talked about this maybe a year ago, probably, uh, if that, um, about the transition and kind of getting into it, and it starting as the NFT drop and then it transitioning into a blockchain video game platform. So can you walk me through that and also the economics of that and like how you made that happen and kind of where the utility is for the people that are participating?
Yeah. So, you know, it started out as you buy the NFTs. The NFTs could turn into playable characters in a game that's supposed to be developed. At that time, it was just all marketing. We don't know what's going to happen. And then as I took over completely with the project, I decided that look, there's a bigger picture here, and there's something that makes my life easier, obviously, and lots of companies are going to eventually want to get into this earning space and having their characters, especially. So I have a call of Activision this week, right? So big companies are struggling to transition over to this space. And obviously, consumer demand is I want to own my asset. I'm spending 5,000 hours in your game, but I own nothing. And gamers are sick of that, right? There's obviously a lot of chatter and Reddit and different forums that talk about the future of gaming. And I'm reading it and I'm thinking to myself, they want to build, people want to build. And with the, you know, technology like AI that allows people to create as they type things in or how their mind imagines it, I wanted to create something that makes my life easier where we're not building just a game. Because I don't want to just build a game. You know, I don't know if the game is going to work or not. I think it's going to work, but I think there's enough talent out there in the open sea in this space, in this gaming space. They're very talented individuals that are struggling to raise capital. And they have no access and they're not marketers. They don't know how to sell their products to consumers that they can have the capital. So I was like, why don't we first set the example by putting all the assets on a chain that we own? So we're building a layer one chain, our own blockchain specifically just for gamers. Put all the samurais that we have, all the 3D assets we made. People can own it. Put AI attached to it. They can create their own version of games out of samurai characters. We'll have the first game, and it'll completely open source. They'll take bits and pieces and they'll make their own version of samurai games. But at the same time, no, coming from my space and being in an advisory role in the previous 7 projects, including Samurai, the struggle was how do I raise capital for my idea? And that's the same struggle for every gaming studio across the world. Not everybody's an Activision or a Ubisoft that has billions of dollars in backing. They have nothing, but they're talented as fuck, right? So my idea was to create the platform for them to come on and build on this platform. But the benefit of it is I am going to get all the folks that are in crypto on this platform. If you like this project, throw some money at the founder. How do you make sure that your crypto is protected? It's on our platform. So the only way they could spend is in our enclosed ecosystem. And if the game blows up, the value of your investment into this game would also increase. So I wanted to create something that's easy for other gamers to basically live their dreams and build things that matter to them. And because it mattered to me when I was building Samurai Saga that people are getting some type of utility, that they're buying into an NFT to have something that would go up as the community builds and as we continue to build this as a brand.
So you had kind of two phases here. The first was NFT drop with the promise of um, 3D characters that would be used for a game in the future. But the game had not been created or designed. It was an idea. And then the original founders took off because they made a bunch of money and said, fuck this, I want to do something else. I've got money. I want to go sit on the
Pretty
beach.
much.
And you said, well, let me actually create some utility and go ahead and build out this game. But you are not a video game designer or programmer, right? So, I don't know how much you know about code, but how did you lean into creating that at that point in time?
Uh, just knowing the tools that we use. Everybody has access to the same tools. You go to Upwork, you find some developers, and you try, and you sometimes you get scammed. I get scammed twice, and then you end up finding the good people. you know. So that's how I found it. The way I found the developers, the true developers working on the project was I hired someone from Upwork, which, by the way, if you're using Upwork, there's a lot of middlemen, right? They'll use other developers, and they'll charge you a premium, but they'll pay the developers less. So I started digging into the code. So there's one benefit of actually studying how to code. I dug into the back end. We were on GitLab. Um, I broke down all the pieces and I found certain emails in the code. And those emails are the direct emails from the actual developers. So I sent them all an email. I was like, hey, listen, I'm the founder of Samurai Saga. Like to talk to you, like to figure some things out. I don't know if this is your email or not. But your company hasn't been responding that often. And then the dude responded, like the different types of people responded, and they were like, "Yeah, I don't know why. We've been sending updates every day. There's no updates to you. And by the way, we haven't gotten paid in 2 weeks." Oh, okay. Let's have a chat. And then I ended up getting on WhatsApp, talk to them, and building a direct relationship, firing the agency, I would say, and then now we have like a direct team of developers. And then also I spoke to a gaming studio that also had like great vision, great ideas. And that's also like a part of why I want to build this chain is during the process of finding game developers and game development studio, I made an offer to the studio to buy them out. I had some crypto earnings. So I was like, how about you drop every other client you have and just work on this with us, because this is a big deal and we have financing, we have capital. Uh, they agreed because they weren't getting paid that well. The whole studio of three guys and a couple freelancers generated like 90K a year, which is nothing, right? And that's
Mm.
a problem. Like, gaming space is huge. Blockchain gaming is obviously growing, but why is it that the people, the talent behind it, are struggling to make money? There's a problem here. There's a disconnect.
Hmm.
Well, because there's too many middlemen. Because you go through the process of looking at Upwork, and the guy in between is eating all the fees. Charging me $120 an hour and paying the guy 15. And they're fucking talented.
Hmm.
They're fucking good. They know their shit, like down there, down. So the real developers don't need a lot of money. They just need enough to survive, and their whole life is just oriented around creating stuff that they enjoy, right? And that's when you realize that it's like, oh, if you have a platform that people can raise 50K a year, bro, the amazing things that they can create it's just it's just mind blowing, right? And it drives the value of my platform as well. So we're gonna have, like, if it all works out, obviously anything could go wrong, but the next phase is we might have the most valuable gaming chain on the planet. If I have 1,000 developers that fucking made 50 grand off of the platform, which is not a lot, right? 50 million. I'm sure that's an easy ask, especially if you can drive tens of thousands of potential crypto investors, whether you have 10 grand or 100 grand left to invest in crypto. They're not asking for a lot. They'll sell their NFTs for $100 a pop. Come on, everybody's got $100. Right? And that's how I see, like, the future of gaming, but also the future of fractionalizing everything in life, whether it's from cars, houses, businesses. People are going to come together and fractionalize, and that's the world I'm building in.
So it sounds to me like the hypothesis here, and it's certainly not just yours, right? There's a huge following, but in June of 2023, crypto is way down, and there's much more skepticism in the ecosystem. And I think for a lot of it, it's for good reason. But your hypothesis, as with many still, is that NFTs, which are really it's just blockchain, right? NFTs as an art project or whatever caught all this steam and you capitalized, but an NFT is just part of the chain in a way to lock something there and and for you it's create a flywheel where consumers can be a part of it, monetize it, and that not only helps you raise money as a founder, but also keeps the community engaged in the project and supports it in a different way than in any other gaming platform
Correct.
would. Is that a
Correct.
fair summary?
And that's where it's transitioning to. You talk to enough people because the data's out there, man. Like I'm not inventing anything. I'm just giving people what they're looking for. And there's constant talk about the problems in this space that they would like resolutions for. I'm just bringing the solutions to the table, just the same way that when I was doing all the way back from eBay and talking to customers, they're just looking for something that someone to tell them like this is the solution for your camera for a fisheye or wide angle. The t-shirt is they're just looking for a way to represent themselves. Like consumers will tell you what they want. Like all these people trying to invent some crazy strategy or crazy idea or crazy new product. Bro, not everyone's Elon Musk, but everyone can make tens of millions of dollars just solving a simple problem in the market. And there's lots of these problems to solve. I'm just giving them a solution. I'm solving problems in the market. I don't consider myself a genius. I consider myself an analyst. And I look at market problems and I see potential business to be had. I'm going to build that business. And obviously it's done
I love it, man.
extremely well for me, right?
Well, this has been awesome, dude. I would be I want to point people towards you to find out more about you, but before I do that, I would be remiss to not mention a meal that we just shared in New York, which was a 3 Michelin star meal. And listen, I go into Michelin star experiences with the expectation that it's going to be long, and I'm probably going to be a little hungry at the end because they space things out so much, but it's going to be a great experience. The only great thing about this experience was conversation with you and the table. But this was a 3 Michelin star vegan restaurant called 11 Madison. And after that meal, you literally posted on Instagram what did you have afterwards?
I had Grubhub. I ordered chicken wings and something else. I was starving.
That
My
was
my girlfriend Hannah was like, "Why did we pay $3,000 for strips of vegetables?" I was like, I have no idea. I guess that's like presentation. If you're a chef, you deserve that much money. You know that big pot that they brought out and put it in the middle of the table. I thought that was actually our first course that we can have something that's like worthwhile. They took that pot, they put it on a nice fancy table. They literally put one strip of bok choy and a mushroom right next to it. I'm looking at it like, fuck, bro. If anyone watched the movie The Menu, I feel like I was in the menu. And I was scared. I was scared to be asking them, can I have another piece of bread? Because I'm thinking in my head, like, the lady's going to come over and be like, no.
yeah. Yeah, look, I don't like throwing people under the bus, but there is a time and place for it, and this is one of them. Like they should have their Michelin stars removed. This does not qualify as a 3 Michelin star
No.
experience. So I'm sorry, 11 Madison, but put meat back on your menu and give us more food. Damn it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Well, I had to squeeze that in, but dude, I think that there are tons of really practically applicable things to lots of industries, but it's been cool to get some backdrop. I'm certain this will not be the last time. Where can people find you if they want to find out more about you or the projects that you're working on?
Look at samuraisaga.com. We're doing something pretty amazing. We're officially licensed the brand to do food, to do beverages. We're working with Bandai to make. Bandai is a huge company that makes Dragon Ball Z toys. They're making our toys. We have a card game that's potentially going on Walmart, Target, Costco. So everywhere. Just find me at samuraisaga.com. I'm in Discord. People love me in Discord. They call me the Emperor. I'm the actual main character in the game. So Emperor Jian. If you play the game in the future, that you're gonna be fighting against me.
I love it, man. Awesome. Cool. Well, I appreciate you carving out the time, man. Until next time.
Take care.
Love it. I hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed doing it. I need your help. There are 3 places you can find Beyond a Million. The podcast itself, beyondamillion.com, which has some cool free resources, including a free course. And we finally launched the Beyond a Million YouTube channel. I would love it if you would go there and subscribe. And if you don't want to, you still would probably enjoy seeing the visual content. Check it out, youtube.com/@Beyond a Million.